And I am back. I am back with another video. Um, I was going to release this one much earlier, but I had to redo the other one. So here we are. And this topic is I came across this last night and I didn't know whether to laugh or not. I mean, on one hand, I can't even say it was funny, but I will say this. So far, it's been a bad week for Disney. First, now, I admit I haven't kept up with the Gina Carano lawsuit. I know it's been going on for a couple of years, but I came across an article earlier yesterday that said that Disney is being forced to hand over information that Gina Carano's attorneys have been requesting, I believe, for about almost a year. So they were stalling. Well, now they're being forced to hand it over. The judge, if I remember correctly, the judge wasn't necessarily happy with them. I may do a video on it, but there's just so much going on with that, and I don't even think I don't even think that article was short. But I am going to look into it. I may do a video on that one and release it at some point this week. But it has not been a good week for Disney. Um, and on top of all that, if that wasn't bad enough, something else happened. Something else happened, and Disney is, well, it's an oopsie. It is definitely an oopsie. Disney New York headquarters, named after Bob Iger, causes closure of historic fire museum honoring FDNY's fallen heroes. Give you a few seconds to let that simmer. So, Disney construction may have destroyed the historic New York Fire Museum, which honors the history and legacy of the New York City Fire Department. I'll read that again. Disney's construction may have destroyed the historic New York Fire Museum, which honors the history and legacy of the New York City Fire Department. I know those guys they're probably fuming behind this. Construction of the flashy new Disney headquarters at 7 Hudson Square, officially titled the Robert A. Iger Building, allegedly caused nearly $6 million in structural damage to the neighboring New York City Fire Museum, forcing the institution to shut its doors for nearly a year. Look at that. Look at all that damage. Cracked the floor, everything. Whew. The museum, housed in a 120-year-old Beaux Arts firehouse, features more than 30,000 artifacts, including a memorial to the 343 firefighters lost in September 2021. Ooh, that is bad. And I was thinking about that when I started reading this. I was wondering if that was going to be mentioned. Now it's silent, cracked, and cordoned off, while the building named after Disney CEO stands proudly next door. Now, I'm wondering if that building is going to find a few tag signs on it. Hmm. I guess you could say one could only hope. Um, I'm not saying that I hope that happens, but that's not a good look for Disney. And I hope that they've reached out and offered to repair the damage that they've caused. See, according to a lawsuit filed by the city, excessive vibrations from the Disney construction caused the Fire Museum building to become dangerously unstable. One morning in May, staff preparing for a birthday party with 30 children heard loud bangs, felt the floor soften beneath their feet, and evacuated in a panic. Since then, the museum has been shuttered, limping along without ticket revenue and struggling to survive. That's crazy. Executive Director Patty Murphy told the New York Post the institution is now in a dire position, unable to care for its priceless collection or serve the public. The museum will launch an emergency fundraising campaign just to keep the lights on. Meanwhile, Disney's 1.2 million square foot skyscraper, complete with solar panels, green tech, and live event studios, is now open for business. Yikes. A priceless legacy at risk. The New York City Fire Museum isn't just some dusty collection of memorabilia, it's a sacred vault of New York's bravest. Inside its historic 1904 firehouse are over 30,000 artifacts spanning centuries, from bucket brigade relics used before the fire hoses existed to a 1901 La France coal fired steam engine to modern tools like the jaws of life. Stuff you can't replace. Most poignantly, it houses a solemn memorial to the 343 firefighters who gave their lives in the World Trade Center in September of 2001, a permanent tribute to the courage and sacrifice woven into the city's very soul. And now, thanks to the reckless construction right next door to put up a building Bob Iger named after himself, the legacy sits in limbo. Murphy is scrambling to protect the priceless collection from further harm, but the museum is small, underfunded, and lacks the specialists or resources to manage large scale preservation or relocation. Without urgent help, the entire collection, artifacts that may never be replaced, could be left to deteriorate. This is crazy. A shrine, not a tribute. It's not unusual for buildings to be named after Disney leaders after they leave. The Michael D. Eisner Building, renamed by Iger after Eisner exited the company. The Frank G. Wells Building, dedicated posthumously, you guys get it, posthumously by Eisner. But in this case, Bob Iger actively chose to slap his own name on Disney's new East Coast HQ while still holding power. It wasn't the Walt Disney Building, not a mod to the company's founder, not a celebration of the studio's rich New York legacy, just Bob. So he inadvertently destroyed a building for a vanity project. The irony, New York is where it all started. Steamboat Willie, and by extension Mickey Mouse, debuted in Manhattan. Walt himself introduced revolutionary technologies at the 1964 World's Fair just miles from the new HQ. And now, instead of honoring the man who built the company, Disney celebrates the executive who bought up IP like it was going out of style and left Main Street to rot. Sure did. But he's probably going to get his. Gina is definitely seeing to that. While the city prepares to sue Disney's development partners, Hudson Square Realty, Skansa Inc., and Lend-Lease U.S. Construction, the company's official stance is more spin than accountability. Of course it is. They're not going to say they're responsible because it puts them on the hook legally. Even more so. A Disney spokesperson said the company is working with the city and claims the lawsuit is just a legal formality. Really? The city wouldn't waste time with well, they were working with the city, there wouldn't have been a need for a lawsuit. Translation, nothing to see here, folks, exactly. But there was plenty to see. Giant cracks in the sidewalk, $6 million in damages, and the museum barely clinging to life, all while Bob Iger's name gleams in the Manhattan skyline. Mm-mm. If the museum doesn't reopen, it won't just be a loss of history, it'll be a loss of integrity, community, and respect for the real heroes who once lived and died in service to the city. Unfortunately for them, there's no place for that in Bob Iger's vision of Disney. Not unless it fits on a shareholder slide or can be licensed for merchandise. This is not a good look for Disney at all. At all. I don't know what else to say to that. That is that is definitely uh, that is definitely not good news for them. But I wanted to throw this quick video out and let's see what you guys think. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments below. I should say. What do you guys think about this? You think Disney's gonna actually fork over some money to try to help? I mean, I would. I think it's in their best interest. But something tells me they're gonna try to say, well, it's not our fault, that the building wasn't structurally sound and construction and blah blah blah. I mean, we'll see. But just in the interest of what it was, if it were me, especially if I'm Bob Iger and this structure just got destroyed because of a vanity project that I started, yeah, I'd be forking over some money. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Thanks for stopping by.